Tether FUD. Yeah, we've got Tether FUD for days up in here as the New York Supreme Court rules that they do actually have jurisdiction over BitFinex and orders BitFinex to comply with the New York Attorney General's investigation into the monetary manipulation brought out by the Tether. So, we're going to talk about that. Meanwhile, is Ethereum on the brink of collapse? Also, we've got an epic Bitcoin battle to announce for you guys today. In the red corner stands the challenger, the Indian people who want cryptocurrency, mainly Bitcoin, to be legal and protected. In the blue corner, we have the champion, the Reserve Bank of India. They've had authority over the Indian rupee for the last 84 years and stand unchallenged as the dominant central monetary authority in the fastest growing subcontinent on the planet. Who will win in this epic battle? Stay tuned for this exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Welcome to Breaking Bitcoin, recorded live here in the studio. Today is August 20th, 2019, foul year of our Lord, your daily source for market updates, news, and sentiment. Sentiment, news, sentiment, updates? Yes, for traders, investors. How we doing today, guys? I'm your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at CrackingCryptocurrency.com. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic wherever you happen to be tuning in from, and whether you're watching us from across YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook, or on Roku with the Investor News Channel app. If you want to support the show, make sure to subscribe, follow, share, and engage in the live chat. And for you YouTube guys, hit that thumbs up button, guys. Like goal of 100 likes. You guys are doing really, really good. So proud of you. Really appreciate the support. Okay. We've got a fantastic show for you guys today. But of course, today's episode of Breaking Bitcoin is brought to you by us. If you are an aspiring trader or an experienced trader looking to sharpen your skills and you would like to work with a team that has a proven track record that deals in the realm of statistics, probability, and verifiable edge, head over to premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com to see what the premium trading group can do for you. Everything from exclusive trade setups and signals, the Pathways to Profit strategy building course, exclusive tools, spreadsheets, and walkthroughs, as well as our database library. Come join the fastest growing community of traders and investors in cryptocurrency at premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. And like I said, we've got a fantastic show for you guys today. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into it. And we're going to start off today's episode, as we always do, by giving away some cryptocurrency. So I want to thank this month's crypto comment giveaway sponsor, X42 Protocol. Make sure to go check them out at x42.tech. Reaction time's a little slow this morning, fellas. All right, so here we are, and we are going to, well, for some reason it must have refreshed the page. So I'm going to go grab, let's see here, the URL from yesterday's video. Come right over here and pop that in. Load these comments up, and we've got 12 potential winners. So best of luck to all of you. We're going to randomly pick a winner. And it is Doug N. He says, moving Satoshi's coins doesn't improve your Satoshi either. Moving those coins would crash the price also, so terrible idea. Other ways to prove your Satoshi. You know, I disagree. I don't think that moving those coins would crash the price, and I don't think that there's another verifiable way to prove that you're Satoshi, because every other method is going to be subjective and rampant and just plagued with errors. I mean, obviously there are your traditional methods of proving, I guess. We could do identity verification. We could look at your background. We could look at documents. We could do all those things. Yes. But then that's a privacy violation. That's a privacy error. Somebody could prove, and again, I said this yesterday. So it's not that somebody moving those coins would prove that they're Satoshi. In fact, the only thing that it would prove, to be quite honest, is that they had access to Satoshi or they somehow gained access to those private keys. But it would be the closest thing that we've ever had thus far, the closest step that we've ever had toward proving Satoshi's identity. And it's like, okay, well, we have this giant room of everybody claiming that I am Spartacus. No, I am Spartacus. You kind of got that situation going on. And at least somebody moving the coins would be the closest thing that we've seen to reality. But I appreciate your opinion. Thank you so much. Thank you for the support. If you get a hold of me in the Discord at JustinWise5696, I will tip you some crypto. Thank you so much, my good friend. And getting right over into the Bitcoins. Woo. And we're going to slide the microphone right on over here. Wendy says, I lost my laptop with 980,000 Bitcoins on it. I hope I win. Oh, man. Anyways, so here we are at Bitcoin's price. Just let me glance at our indicators, make sure I've updated everything from Forex. Everything looks quite good. Fisher transforms on point. Wadatar explosion. We've got time transformation down there on the bottom because we haven't talked about it in a while. We've been bringing it back over the last couple days, so I think that's going to help out quite a little bit. And of course, we've got Minx, as always, at the top of the screen, dedicating and dominating the directions that our trades are going to be going. So let's take a look at what we got going on. Again, as far as daily time frame trade setups, we don't actually see a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of initiation. Now, here's the thing. We did end up crossing and closing above the daily baseline yesterday, letting somebody know who was in an active short position from whenever they would have put on that active short position that they should be exiting that active short position. So that's actually what I did. So just to the upside, riding the discretionary XBT long. I talked about this yesterday. Primary account on ByBit was short, and that trade hit 2 of 3 take profits, and then price peeled up and then hit the stop loss. We talked about that yesterday. Then we talked about the re-add short taking the test off the daily baseline. Price ended up closing above the daily baseline. So again, as I talk about, when we do reversal baseline bounces, whenever you're trying to do a reversal trade really of any kind, but in our experience, the reversal baseline bounces are the best setup for that because you are now trading in the direction of the dominant trend. You want to be cautious about, not cautious, excuse me, that's not the right word. You want to be you have to be disciplined, right? So a lot of people, they're going to put on a position and it's going to move against them. And in normal circumstances, you would hold that position open. You would be comfortable with a little bit of drawdown. But anybody who has developed an algorithmic system or a consistent trading strategy will know this from their back testing. It is your respect of your early exits. It is your respect of your stop loss qualifications that really, at the end of the year, put so much more money back in your pocket. Often the biggest losses come from discretion. The worst losses come from discretion, where you put on a position and then it moves against you. And then it continues to move against you. And so now you add to your position to get a better entry. It continues to move against you. You add to your position. It continues to move against you. And then you end up selling or buying back or covering because the pain is too great. And then generally, to your chagrin, price moves in your favor. Now, common knowledge. So that's taking a more nuanced step toward more professional trading, right? So people will say, well, it's just as easy as you put on the position and you either hit the stop loss or the take profit. So just describing that scenario that we just went through is a little bit more advanced from that. But the people who have covered this topic will then try to present to you the answer, which is, well, you just don't sell when the pain is too great. That's the moment when you double down the hardest, right? And in reality, that is the worst advice that you could possibly receive. What that advice is telling you is that you should just discretionarily add to your position and that price will always revert to the mean, will always move back in your favor, and that you should just be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Now, being comfortable with being uncomfortable is an aspect of life and of trading, but not when it is also conditioning you to be undisciplined, right? There's nothing pleasant about putting on a trade and then exiting very quickly, right? It's a loss, especially if it's a loss. It can be uncomfortable. But over time, you learn to appreciate that. And over time, you learn, honestly, to just be completely apathetic about it, as I am, because you know that you are following your system, you're following your strategy, and that is what is going to put more dollars in your pocket at the end of the day. We talked about this yesterday. We've talked about this a lot. When you're a trend following trader, oftentimes you're going to find yourself throwing a lot of jabs. You're throwing a jab, just like boxing, looking for an entry, looking for the right entry, looking for the right entry. Sometimes, most of the jabs aren't going to hit. You're going to get out with a small profit. You're going to get out with a small loss. But because you are maintaining your discipline and your strategy, you are keeping your losses small, and you are not opening yourself up to taking that large account decimating loss. And unfortunately, that is just how it tends to go for most traders, right? They're making profits, they're making consistent small gains or a couple big winners, and everything's fine until they come upon that big, large loss, right? And that is what, obviously, first off, puts a big dent in their account balance. So now they're operating with less capital. But it has other components from that, right? It has worse components than that, I would argue, because you can come back from a monetary hit. You know, you can have a big drawdown in your account balance and you can come back from that, right? And that might even be a natural part of a trading strategy, right? Because losing streaks are going to happen to the best trader. And you have to be prepared for that. In my opinion, it is really the psychological burden of what follows, of what occurs after a big loss that really leads to more losses. You know, most people that I talk to, most guys that I've mentored, gals that I've mentored too, when they talk about their biggest mistakes from trading, it came after a big loss, right? Because then they were, you know, it's generally utilizing leverage, or it's generally, as I described earlier, holding a position open when they should not be holding a position open, adding to that position, and now they've established a very large position over their risk tolerance, over their acceptable risk level, and the market continues to move against them. And eventually they end up either hitting their stop loss or they end up getting liquidated, you know, constantly taking your stop losses off and moving them further away from price because you're sure that, well, it's just a liquidity grab. Price is going to reverse from here and I don't want to be the fool that gets stopped out. All of that stuff sounds logical, and there are going to be situations where it's going to work. But the majority of the time, it's not going to work. And you are going to be left with a large loss. And not only a large loss, there's just so many psychologically compounding factors here. Because not only have you incurred a large loss, and that can initiate the feeling of desperation, it can also initiate the feelings of self-loathing or depression. It really can send you down a dangerous spiral to where you continue to make worse and worse and worse trading decisions. And I have unfortunately seen good people, good traders, allow themselves to make emotional decisions. And in a market where you have access to leverage and you can make very poor choices very quickly, those poor choices can escalate into significant impact very, very quickly. So what we are focused on, what I focus on as a trader and what I focus on with my education is, first off, removing the ability of that to happen. And that is very simple. If you just make the commitment to trade to a trading strategy, to follow your system to the letter. And over time, if you notice that there can be improvements to your system, that you initiate those improvements slowly, that they be fully tested, that you fully back test them, that you test them live, and that you implement them into your live trading account. All of these small things, all of this patience, this discipline, this dedication, these are the necessary steps to really improve and grow in this space. And anything done impulsively or with instant gratification desire or emotionally, it all comes down to impulsivity and impulse control. Professional traders have mastered the skill, not of trading, but of emotional control and discipline. And as in all aspects of life, those are the necessary steps that are just going to dramatically help and advance your pursuit of profit. Okay. Take a little bit of a sip there, and let's get on with some technical analysis, talking about what we're looking at in the charts. So let's look at Minx first. Okay, so we did have Minx crossing above the noise line over here on the 18th of August. Let's go look at there. That would have been this candle, our yesterday's daily close. Now, this daily candle is unclosed. I like this retest that we've had of the daily baseline. We are now operating above the daily baseline. I was looking for that rejection from the daily baseline yesterday. Did not happen. We ended up closing above it. We have pulled back and retested the daily baseline as a level of support. We're going to see if we can get that nice SR flip. This would be that BPC, that break, pullback continuation trade potentially. Just looking at the lines that we have on the chart, there's going to be the level of 11,401 is a potential run up. What's interesting is today we actually did have that run down. What was the low of this candle on the ByBit chart? It was actually, the low was 10,565. And that first take profit on the short was actually 10,600. We talked about that yesterday. This is another scenario where you might look at that and be like, well, if I just would have held the trade open, price would have ended up coming down and hitting my take profit one on the short. And even though that's fine, that is still pushing you more toward the realm of being undisciplined and doing that wishes and fishes type thinking, right? Hindsight thinking, where when price crossed and closed above the daily baseline, that is your exit to be out of your positional trade in one direction and to be looking at a positional trade in the other. Now, you don't just take the positional trade in the other direction. You want to look at the other factors and make sure that the rest of your system is telling you to go ahead and take that position. But it is your indication to be exiting the trade in the opposite direction. In this case, since we crossed and closed above the baseline, that is our indication to be out of shorts. And even though we do see on current price, the price did move down, you did not have any guarantee that that would happen, and it was a 50-50 opportunity for price to continue moving up or continue moving down. So the best thing to always do in that situation is to exit the position, is to follow the rules, is to follow the system, because it's not just the tools, it's the rules that allow you to increase the success, man. All right. So we have Minx crossing and closing above the zero line today. That is going to be an initiation signal for a long setup. This isn't actually what I was expecting to see when we were talking yesterday, but that's fine. I go based off what the indicators say, and I try to remove my subjectivity from it. As I said, I added to my position to the downside. I put on more on my short trade yesterday when price was at the vicinity of the daily baseline. We talked about that. Price crossed and closed above. I took the small loss on my Bitcoin trade. At that same time, my long trade that I had put on discretionarily on Friday, that hit take profit too. So overall, everything washed out. Actually, didn't wash out. Actually, more profit because I took a small L on my Bitcoin entry, right? So price moved very little before I actually ended up exiting. And my Bitcoin long has gone all the way up to take profit too, allowing me to scale out with more profit. So that is significantly more. Let's move over to, and overall, things are doing really well in the group with the trades. Really, really happy. We're up very, very well. You guys can see all those results at currentresults.krakencryptocurrency.com. You can go see all our past results at results.krakencryptocurrency.com. I try to be as transparent as possible in the space full of, I got to come up with like a catchy term. It's like 90% of people out there talking about trading who have no idea what they're talking about. And it's not even that a lot of them are, what's the word? JW Weatherman has a great term for this. They're not scammers. Is it involuntary scammers? Complicit scammers? What's the word he's using? What's the word he uses? I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, he has this term for people who they're not directly trying to scam you maliciously, but they're trying to scam you, or it ends up being a scam, the same thing as a scam, because they're unqualified to be giving that advice, right? They are giving misleading advice because of their own ignorance. All right. Fisher Transform has not crossed over to the upside. I know this looks wildly different than a lot of your guys' Fisher Transforms. That's fine. This is the same as it's been for a while as far as my settings. With a slight change, I did increase the length back up to 10, and I reduced the trigger length back down to 8. I did switch the source over to HL2. So you guys can see here the settings that I'm currently using for for Fisher Transform right here. And that's just based on the latest live testing results, right? Because we compare, it's an 80-20 thing. So you have to optimize your indicators on 80% of the data available to you and then test it live on 20% of the data, which is live data. That is the proper way to do things. Otherwise, you run into issues of parameter over-optimization. Okay, Wadatar explosion is keeping us out of trades for the most part. As we can see, we are trying to do a momentum shift from bearish momentum to bullish momentum. But not only are we printing columns below the explosion level, we're also printing columns below the dead zone filter. So there's nothing to do here on the daily time frame. If we look over at time transformation, we didn't get a strong buy signal, so we didn't get a verified buy signal from time transformation. Obviously, time transformation gave us two very nice sell signals up here at the recent top of the market. We didn't get that same signal here. We got a weaker buy signal on this candle right here, as you can see, right where Minx gave us the signal as well, the reversal signal, and that's not one that we took. That's not one that we took. We actually took slightly different setup, not something that I've ever shown on stream, not indicators that I've ever shown on stream, but just different strategies running in the background. Mr. Ether, good to see you, my good man. So let's go down through some lower time frames and just kind of polish off Bitcoin here. But just to give you guys an idea of where I'm sitting at, I still, on my primary account, I'm hedged. On my primary account, I'm hedged because I'm not in an active position. And on my secondary account, which is going to be BitMEX, I am still in that long trade. Okay, so here on the 12-hour time frame, we can actually see time transformation putting in some good yeoman's work, giving us one bad reversal sell signal here, but then really nailing it with these two signals here, precipitating this movement to the downside, and this nice buy signal right here, precipitating this movement to the upside. And here on the 12-hour time frame, we are also above the daily baseline. We did have one nice cross and close above, a signal that we would not have taken. We did get the 12-hour signal over here confirmed on this candle, which would be so not last night's, but last night's candle close. But we would have been out on the very next candle. WADA printing columns below the explosion level, just telling us that there's not a strong directional trend to the upside at this point in time. Minx is curling back down toward the zero line. It's been hooking down over the last two 12-hour candle closes, and we can see time transformation about to close to the downside. We can see Fisher Transform actually gave us the reversal buy signal on this candle right here and told us to be out of our 12-hour shorts. Very, in a very nice signal at that, because that was right before, that was in the period of consolidation, and that was right before the movement to the upside. So, nice thing about using Fisher Transform in the manner that I've optimized it for is that it's not going to be the fastest, but when you get those signals, they're often quite good. But don't take my word for it. It might not be congruent with the other indicators that you're using. I use Fisher Transform for very specific purposes. I use that to get me out of a situational trade and not generally to get in. It does give good reversal signals, but again, I don't try to trade reversals when I do not, excuse me, let me rephrase that because that sounded like gibberish. I do not trade reversals as part of my base strategy. So 99 out of 100 times, I will not be looking for a reversal. There are occasional times where I will put on a discretionary trade based on other factors, based on other systems that I have running. I try to keep everything that I do as objective and non-subjective as possible. And when you get into the realm of subjective trading, it just opens up a big gateway toward making a lot of mistakes. And as I talked about in my personal experience and in my experience of mentoring other traders and just being in the market for a very long period of time, I've noticed that the biggest mistakes come from subjective interpretation of price charts. And if you can just avoid that and adopt the if this then that mentality, you typically do a lot better. I mean, so many guys in the group, even if they're breaking even, even if you're breaking even as a trader, you've at least stopped losing money and you're already doing better than 90% of traders out there, because most traders are just losing money. Most traders are not making money. Most traders lose money. Okay. So I don't see any setups here on the 12-hour time frame, neither to the upside, neither to the downside. We are having this reversal baseline bounce off the 12 hours, so there is that possibility as well. Higher risk, higher reward. 8-hour time frame as well. Looking at the 8-hour time frame again, period of consolidation. I will say that the 8-hour time frame looks a little bit more bullish than the 12 hours. So once we zoom down to that 8, we get those nice 3 closes a day. One thing that I just got off the horn this morning. I was talking with a student who's over in the Eurozone, and individuals who are in his time zone, generally in the European zone, they're going to have difficulty trading the UTC daily candle close because that's going to be around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning for them. And so that's difficult. That's generally an inconvenient time for a lot of people with a life or a family or a job to be able to trade those. So, one thing that I've talked about is obviously still utilizing the daily time frame, but looking at the daily time frame when you arise in the morning, because if you're getting up between 6 and 8 o'clock in the morning, then that means that you're going to be viewing the charts anywhere from 4 to 6 hours after the daily candle is closed. So that's going to be, you're just basically ignoring all indicator data on the current bar and you're just looking at the previous bar. And if price is still within the qualifying area, then you can go ahead and take that trade. I know a lot of people do that, and a lot of people have good success with that. It's not going to be as optimum, but it just is what it is. The other opportunities are going to be trading the 12 and the 8 hour close, and you're not losing any data. It's just going to be different, right? And you're going to have to optimize your strategies different. But again, we have to conform to the market. The market's not going to conform to us. And when we accept that, when we realize that we cannot impose our will upon it and that we have to accept a probabilistic mindset, we generally do a lot better psychologically and emotionally. Okay. Let's take a gander here. All right. So now Wadatar explosion on, whoa, almost died there. On the 8 hour time frame is now going to be signaling a rising explosion level. Now, this 8 hour candle has not closed, unfortunately. This 8 hour candle that we're currently looking at is going to be the same as the current 12 hour and the same as the current daily. So we are not going to get a verifiable signal from this until the daily candle closed this evening. But a rising explosion level, printing a green column above is often a good signal. So I don't really see anything bullish, until we come down to the 8 hour time frame. And then that would be signaling a fairly decent signal. Unfortunately, we're just too far beyond the qualifier. So, beyond the initiation level. So I don't see a re-entry signal unless, again, this is going to be a re-entry signal for you. And sometimes it can be. WADA, the explosion level rising, switching from non-rising to rising and printing a green column above can often be a good continuation signal. But this is all going to come down to your back testing and what you do for you. So let's say that that is, and we're looking at potential targets to the upside, and we are looking for justification to be taking a long trade. Let's throw up Quadriga and go long and look at what we'll be looking at. So we'd be looking at the same time for that run up to the $11,400 area with a brief stop at 11,082 and ultimately trying to peak out at 11,700 would be those targets to the upside. And I think that is nice and congruent. If we go back to that daily time frame, we can see that 11,399, but that qualifying line, which often serves as a good area of dynamic support and resistance, which often serves as a good profit target, especially, and I talked about this before, where are we looking to take profit off a reversal baseline bounce? Always at the qualifying line. It's always where we're trying to scale out our first take profit. It's just good. It's good. Because that is going to be the same as Quadriga ATR, because it is one ATR above where we're sitting at in price. Let's go to the 4 hour time frame. 4 hour time frame did set us up for a nice little bullish run, as we can see WADA catching all of this, Minx catching all of this, time transformation catching all this. I wanted to go back to that 8 hour time frame and look at Minx here real quick. We did get some hidden bearish divergence on this candle right here, setting us up for that retreat back down to the baseline. So that was a good little 16-hour setup, little scalp right there. Again, as I talked about rejection, you can see the qualifying line does act well as a dynamic level of support and resistance. But other than that, nothing coming in on time transformation right now. So 8 hour is potentially hitting at a long, but you'd have to wait until the daily close this evening to get that fully confirmed indicator data, because all of those results are going to be coming off of this candle, and this candle has only been open for an hour and a half. And so you cannot be, you're going to be just dramatically increasing your probability to fail if you're taking such fresh indicator data off a candle that just opened. So an 8 hour candle, I mean, you need to be past the 7 hour mark before you can even be considering utilizing its data to trade off of. So we've got, honestly, looking at those higher time frames, the daily, the 12 and the 8, I don't really see any trades being put on or justified until this evening. And I think we'll have some good data this evening to be taking some new positional trades. But until then, sitting hedged and sitting protected in that long position with the stop loss at break even. Let's go to the 4 hour time frame. 4 hour time frame, time transformation did give us a reversal right up here once we crossed and closed below the qualifying line, but that really has nothing to do. I'm just pointing out multiple data sets here. Retreat back to the 4 hour baseline, and we're just getting that nice, slow and steady consolidation. So I don't really see anything coming in here. In fact, the 4 hour Fisher has just crossed under, so you'd want to be getting out of long positions right now. Let's see here. We'll see if we can get Minx back above the noise level to give us a continuation signal. And WADA is looking good. You know, the volume and the momentum has dropped off quite a bit, as you guys can see. But WADA is still telling us that the bullishness is potentially on the table. But we've had a rising explosion level for quite a little bit of time, so I'd actually be looking for that to go flat. So I really don't think the 4-hour is as bullish as I'd like to see. Beautiful reversal signal here, by the way, off of time transformation, right here at the bottom. Great signal. So I would say that where my eye would be on that 8-hour time frame. I think that's the stronger signal. I think that's the better looking setup, and I'd like to see that initiation. 2-hour time frame. Let's see here. We've got about 30 minutes before this candle closes. Maybe we can make some decision based off of that, but I don't really see anything well. We're going to have the Heikin-Ashi trend flip back to the upside. Minx is below the 0 line. We've got bearish WADA-TAR volume, and we've got a pretty oversold Fisher right here. So yeah, this doesn't really look very positive to me, honestly. This looks like not a good area to be trading. In summary, I don't see any setup on the daily. I don't see any setup on the 12. I do see a potential setup coming in tonight off of the 8, and we'll use that same data to be kind of correlating through these 3 time frames to see what we can be doing. On the meso timeframes, the 4-hour and the 2, I don't really see anything. There are a few opportunities for longs at this point in time, coming in off the vicinity of the daily baseline. We are above the daily baseline, and so we can go to our lower timeframes and be looking for those quicker initiations to the upside. But again, remember that when you're going down to those lower timeframes, you want to be very careful with your risk. You know, the specific position sizing that we use, I would often recommend using a half or a quarter of that. So whatever position size that you're going to be getting out of our position size calculator, whichever position size calculator that you're using, you probably want to cut that number in half. And that's going to be coming in on the 2 and the 4-hour. The 2-hour, I'd be looking at a target of maybe 10,800, which is going to be a nice quick short scalp. And on the 4-hour, 10,900 maybe. And then we'll see if we can get that 8-hour continuation signal. Otherwise, on a lot of these time frames, we're also on the verge of being able to take short trades. So, you know, this is a very critical time for Bitcoin's price, because if we end up closing below these baselines, and especially on our 2s and 4s, we can already see that we've got not quite there on the 4, but the 4 is getting there to where it can flip to the downside. And the 2 has already flipped bearish momentum. There's just not enough volume to take the trade down. So I think the 2 would be the first initiator of that quick trade to the downside. All right, let's move on over to Ethereum. All right. Now let's talk about Ethereum, because Ethereum, and we do see the long signal from time transformation over here. Now Ethereum, this is another one of those good situations where we do close above the daily baseline, but Minx does not signal the long. Remember, we need a communication between all of our indicators, so that's not a trade that we take, even though we have a rising explosion level and a nice green column, but it kind of came out of nowhere. So that's not a trade we take, and that's good because price has retreated and reversed on us, right? Retreated and reversed on us. So, you know, that's kind of one of those, it's kind of one of those scenarios where, you know, the reversal, the reversal baseline bounce, you're going to have to come up with metrics for exactly how you stay in the trade, because we do cross and close above telling you should be out of your shorts. And in my opinion, that's going to be the best way. Just to listen to the system, to trust that, because you'll often find that because it's easy to look at this and say, well, yes, we did close above the baseline, but we almost immediately pulled back under it. So wouldn't it have just been a good idea to just hold that short open? And I disagree. I think the answer to that is no. I think the answer to that is no. It doesn't matter what price did, because you cannot predict the future, and we have to develop our trading strategy, our trading system for what we're going to do in the moment. It's easy to look back in hindsight and say, well, I should have done this. And then you write that down, and then you try to do that in real time. And you realize over time, if you're being strategic and you're logging your results, that doesn't work out the way that you would like it to. So you don't have access to future data in the moment when you're trying to put on a trade, and nobody does. Nobody can predict the future. Every moment in the market is unique. So I do not think that it matters what price did. In fact, even caring what price did after you made a movement in the market subjectively is really only harmful to you. You just want to log the results of your trades, and all you need to be concerned with is, how are your trades doing? What is your percent profitability? What is your net profit? What is your profit factor? And anything else doesn't matter. Anything else is noise. You know, it's kind of like this. This just kind of came to me. I think this is a good analogy. I think there's a good analogy is kind of like, so you know how your parents taught you, like, hey, like, you know, stay out of other people's business, you know, like don't be a busybody, right? Nobody likes busybodies. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that in the market. There's all this price data, right? And price is constantly moving up. It's constantly moving down. It's always moving to the right. And, you know, there's lots of different indicators and lots of different people talking about price and lots of people posting setups. And it's one of those situations where you often feel like, wow, man, I mean, you know, I want to just be tuned into everything and grabbing all of this. Well, let me tell you, after having tried to do it for a decade, you can't, right? You can't. It's just going to burn you out. And you're going to end up with analysis paralysis. You're going to be pulling in too much data, and you're going to be able to you're not going to be able to act because there's going to be too much conflicting data, right? So what we need to do is simplify. We need to simplify. Only care about your strategy. Only care about your edge. Only care about your trades. And everything else is none of your business, right? It's none of your business because, and that's the same analogy that I used for price. We exit trades for a very specific reason, because we know statistically over time that is what puts more money in our pocket, right? And so we're not going to look and be like, oh, well, price ended up moving in my favor after I exited, so therefore I should make this assumption. You shouldn't. You shouldn't make that assumption. You're getting, it's kind of like you're looking at information that is not going to be helpful to you, right? Because you're using hindsight thinking, right? You're trying to be in everybody's business, and you should be out of people's business and only worried about your own business. Just think that's kind of a funny analysis, man. Let's look at the 12. 12 gave us the go-ahead on, 12 gave us the go-ahead on this candle right here. Let's see if we're good. And the Fisher would have got us in on the same candle. So there's a valid 12-hour long. We're coming back down to that daily baseline as well. We can see we came up, tapped the, I've got another indicator I'm working on called the volatility expander, which is pretty neat. It's kind of centered around objective levels of support and resistance, just looking for, you know, because one of the questions that I've gotten from a lot of people are, well, you know, how can we re-add and where should we re-add, and maybe, you know, what if we want to range trade? And so, you know, in addition to that, I'm going to provide that indicator. It's just something that I'm working on. It's a neat little tool, and I think it's pretty neat. So I'm not done with that one yet. It's just something I've been working on in the background. But anyways, we do have a valid 12-hour signal coming in on this candle right here. Oh, excuse me, this candle right here. I'm sorry, watt-hour explosion. And, you know, let's see, I don't think you would have probably hit any profit on that. You're actually in drawdown. You're still above the baseline, so that you're in the re-add zone or you're in the chill zone, because we're not looking to re-add to a position. We're not dollar cost averaging into something that is moving against us. I've always said that from the very beginning. Dollar cost averaging when price is moving away from me does not make any sense to me. Oh, man. That is dangerous to me. So anyways, 8-hour time frame giving us a good signal over here. 8-hour time frame would have hit one of 3 take profits. Price is again pulling back to the 8-hour baseline and giving you that reload opportunity potentially if you've been out of the position. But again, keep in mind that we are right there on the border here on the 8-hour time frame as well of flipping and losing the daily baseline and making the directional trade to the downside on this time frame. But again, we're not going to have that data. We're not going to have that information for another 6 hours and 20 minutes. So again, I don't really see a whole lot of activity over the afternoon trading session coming in today. Four-hour time frame, getting a great long reversal long signal from TT right here and a good reversal short signal from TT right here. And we have already lost the daily baseline, or excuse me, we've lost the 4-hour baseline on the 4-hour time frame. Shifting the meso trend, or the meso direction of the trend to the downside currently. So we'll see if that can actually emanate up into something that's a little bit more substantial, like the 8-hour. 8-hour, kind of like the first line of defense. And over on the 2, you can already see the initiation of the short trade right here. You would have got that short trade signal on Ethereum several hours ago. Let's see here. 2, 4, 6, almost 8 hours ago now. And so let's look at some of those downside targets. And we have not hit a single one yet. So looking at that 194 and 191 and 188. So in summary, I think the Ethereum trend is still bearish on the daily. On the 12-hour and the 8-hour, there were valid longs, or there is valid long opportunities now. But you're going to have to reduce risk because you're trading against the dominant trend. And in general, I don't recommend doing that in the first place. But again, I just provide the information and you guys are going to have to make the determination what to do with it. 4-hour time frame closing below the baseline, shifting the temporary momentum on the meso time frames to the downside. So based on that too, I would be hesitant against those lower, higher time frame longs because those are going to be reversal longs on those positions. And we've got clearly trending signals coming in starting on the 2 and about to creep up into the 4-hour. 2-hour already has you in an active short. All right. That's what we've got. All right, guys. We're going to have to get into the news, and we're going to have to skip Forex today because I've got a lot of appointments coming up today. I've got a lot of scheduled appointments with students to mentor them. So, going to have to cut the show off a little bit early today. Not super early. We're going to ride out, and we've got a lot to talk about, so I want to get right into that. So, before we get into the news, as traders, selecting our exchange is going to be one of the most important decisions that we can make. I'm often asked as a professional, what are the most important metrics when making this decision, and for what exchange we're going to use? And my answer is always the same: security, ease of use, and customer service. And the exchange that checks all of these boxes that I use for trading Bitcoin futures is ByBit. I've been absolutely pleased with using their platform. And in fact, I've got an announcement about ByBit coming in right now. So ByBit CoinSwap, this has been pretty requested. Obviously, it's something that I am looking forward to. It's something that I get asked a lot. So CoinSwap is going to be released very soon. So now ByBit traders are going to be able to convert between Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS, and ZERP freely in any way and direction you want, all within ByBit instantly with a small fee per transaction. So you will not have to withdraw Bitcoin or deposit on from a different exchange. The way that a lot of people dislike this idea because they're familiar with BitMEX, where you just deposit Bitcoin and you can trade everything else. There is a problem with that. Read the fine print on BitMEX. But really looking forward to this. I've talked about this for a while. People asked, when is this going to come? When is this going to come? And it is coming soon. And as I talked about, you guys should go check out ByBit's roadmap. They've got, it's a sweet roadmap. Anyways, so you guys can check out ByBit for yourself. If you guys want to go to bybit.krakencryptocurrency.com, it's a link in the description down below. If you use that link, they'll give you up to $60 as a margin bonus to test their platform out. You can't withdraw that $60, but you can use it to trade with, and you can withdraw any profit that you make. And should you deposit any of your actual funds and incur loss, they will take that $60 margin bonus first before they take any of your money. So bybit.krakencryptocurrency.com if you guys would like to check it out yourself. Okay, so we've got a lot to talk about, guys. Let's slide down here a little bit. And we're going to start off with this. So, BitFenix's motion to dismiss that they filed with the Supreme Court of the state of New York appears to have been denied, as the court has decided that it has jurisdiction to rule over the case. The judge in the case now orders the defendants, BitFinex, iFinex, Tether, to cooperate with the New York Attorney General's office as the stay on the investigation has been lifted. Now, they have ordered that BitFinex is now required to provide any paperwork or records required by the New York Attorney General as part of their ongoing investigation into BitFinex, Tether, and their business conducted with New York residents, with their New York residents. Now, iFinex and Tether have just submitted a notice of appeal seeking a reversal of the court's ruling. Listen, guys, I think this is going to end very poorly. I've said this for a while. I feel like we should have, in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen or something, we should almost have how they have the doom clock, right? Or the doomsday clock. I feel like we should have the countdown timer until, BitFinex just, launches and, declares insolvency, right? Or until we see raid of iFinex headquarters. Thank you so much, Wally. I got to restart Streamlabels, man. Wally, thank you so much for the $15, my good friend. He says, Justin, please don't dox me during the news. I told you I was Satoshi in confidence, and I don't want to hear any of this Streisand effect nonsense either. Learn, earn, and don't get burned, man. Oh, thank you so much, brother. I'm sorry. Hey, look, man, you know, I just feel like the world needs to know, all right? I feel like the world needs to know. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to Gunbot University, my good man. You guys are doing great work over there. Love you, brother. Okay, let's see here. So this is a pretty big U-turn. This is a pretty big U-turn coming in from, well, maybe actually, I don't think it's a big U-turn at all. I don't know why. I think I just read that right here and I was like, yeah, let's like just talk on that. It's not. This isn't a big U-turn. This is a no duh. I talked about this before. The United States absolutely has jurisdiction. Jurisdiction doesn't end at the border. I think that BitFinex, I talked about this the other day. I talk about this all the time. BitFinex is guilty of fraud. BitFinex is guilty of money manipulation. Undoubtedly, they're guilty of tether manipulation. Undoubtedly, they're guilty of incompetence. Undoubtedly, they're guilty of, you just name it, man. And I don't think, you know, here's the thing. I get it, right? This is, people are promoting the narrative that this is a form of attack on cryptocurrency, that this is a form of attack on Bitcoin, right? A coordinated attack by the government. And I sympathize with that. I really do. But I disagree. Because the purpose of Bitcoin has nothing to do with the price, right? So Bitcoin is a way to transfer value in an unconfiscatable way. It is a currency designed for dissidents, designed for revolutionaries, designed for those who wish to oppose the government, for them to be able to send and receive their Bitcoin securely in an unconfiscatable manner and in a pseudonymous way and in a fully anonymous way if they do things correctly. For example, the Lightning Network. And I know that anytime, and again, I'm not on the side of government here. I'm a freaking ANCAP, but I'm just saying that in this particular situation, right, we all know, right? I don't see like anybody who is out there saying that, oh, it's fine if you, it's fine if you want to say, well, I want to see the evidence. I agree with you. I want to see the evidence too. I want to see an investigation and I want to see the actual facts, because what we do know is this. BitFinex has made multiple, by multiple, I mean like thousands of misleading statements, comments, business decisions, and in my opinion, with the Leo token, blatant investor fraud, right? Explain to me the purpose of the Leo token. Explain to me how it makes the world a better place. Explain to me why it's a good investment. And explain to me why nobody freaked out after BitFinex loses $750 million and then hosts a $1 billion IEO. I mean, I get that BitFinex has its army of defenders out there, and I don't understand why, because BitFinex does not care about them unless they are receiving monetary compensation for BitFinex to promote them, in which case they're guilty of fraud too, right? You don't mislead investors for money, right? Again, I'm a businessman. I sell a product. I sell a service. I'm a professional trader. But at the same time, I do my absolute, you're not going to see me come on here and promote something just because it's going to make me money, because that's going to make me less money in the long run, right? I learned this very early on. My father taught me this when I was a kid, right? You're honest and you try to do your best, and generally good things happen to you, right? This is the secret. Everybody wants like that get rich quick secret to success. You know, I'm going to go to this dude's webinar and learn how to turn my business into an $80 billion a year business. There's no secret, man. It's just discipline. Get up earlier, go to bed earlier, work out, eat healthy, be on point, surround yourself with good people, be honest, be ethical, and do your best, right? If you do those simple things, then generally life tends to go better for you, no matter what you want to do, right? But if, on the other hand, you want to stay up late and you want to get up late and you want to be late for meetings and you don't want to make your bed when you wake up and you don't want to work out and you don't want to eat healthy and you want to be dishonest and you want to be instant gratification and you want to live a hedonistic lifestyle and you want to do all these other things, they are non-conducive to success. They're non-conducive to long-term success. Yes, they can give you short-term pleasure and results, but they're not going to sustain you in the long run. And what I've seen BitFinex do, and what I've seen a lot of people do in this space, is take advantage to make a quick buck in the here and now and not think of the long-term consequences of their decisions. And I don't think that this is an attack on Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. I think that because I feel that Bitcoin stands on its own 2 feet and doesn't need BitFinex. I don't think that Bitcoin needs Tether. Undoubtedly, Tether has done good things for the market capitalization. Undoubtedly, Tether has done good things for traders. But has it done good things for you? I don't know. Right? One of the videos that I'm going to be shooting here talks about simplification, right? And I want to talk about that right now. So, we post signals for multiple exchanges. We post signals. We support Kraken and Coinbase and Binance and BitMEX and ByBit. And, one question that people are going to come in and ask is like, well, should I be trading on all these exchanges? And sometimes if they're really, really experienced and good at managing multiple accounts, maybe that's a good thing for them because they're opening themselves up to more opportunity. But in general, like as a newer trader, like you should probably just focus on one and learn to develop a consistent strategy and develop that discipline. When you're running all over the place, and this is why we like 3 commas, because it allows you to simplify and have all your trades in one place. When you get overextended, especially when you're learning a new skill, like pathways to profit or the way that we trade or the way that we do things at Kraken Cryptocurrency, it can often end up being more of a disadvantage than an advantage, right? So simplification, simplifying your life, simplifying everything is going to be easy. And so I don't really know why I dovetailed that, but I just know that I think this is going to end badly for BitFinex. BitFinex. I think a lot of the insecurity surrounding legitimate fiat on-ramps to fuel the Bitcoin boom leads to a fear of liquidity rug being pulled out of Tether crashes. Yeah, I agree. I think that is right. I think that there is... I think that's what it is, man. I think that's what it is. I think that, and here's the thing, man. I think that BitFinex has done good things. I don't want to just sit here and slam BitFinex, right? And I get that they're one of the few, the Iron Exchange. I know that they're one of the few people who have been around who have done their best to allow people to go fiat to crypto and try to do all that anonymously, right? And, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe BitFinex are the good guys and they're being framed and they've just gotten themselves in a bad situation because they're trying to be the good guys. But, I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I think that they started off good and then I think they got manipulated and connived and hoodwinked. I've got that video out. You make sure you guys go watch that. The Truth About Tether and BitFinex explained by a professional trader, where I go over my overall assessment is that they got hoodwinked, smart people trying to be good people, but they got hoodwinked. And because they got hoodwinked and lost a butt ton of money, they ended up trying to cover that up and lying to investors. And now they're guilty of investor fraud. And that's why they're being investigated. Also because the New York Attorney General don't fuck around and you don't do business with New York citizens. Moving on. Let's go to this. BitMEX bans its own country. So I posted this in the members lounge last night. But basically, BitMEX just posted a new blog article, and it's actually better. I have the BitMEX blog article pulled up somewhere around here, but anyways, they made a post last night where they said they have decided to restrict access to BitMEX for users in the jurisdictions in which Global Trading Limited, which is HDR, that is the corporation of BitMEX, where their affiliated employees and officers are located. So this is Seychelles, this is Hong Kong, and this is Bermuda. So if you are from one of these 3 jurisdictions, you're not allowed to trade on BitMEX anymore. And I actually think that's pretty good. They also said that in addition to that, they also said that they're going to be opening up their market making activities. their liquidation fund, their their auto deleveraging system, their as I said, their order books, but they're going to be opening that up to third-party audit. So we'll see. I've said for a long time, I don't really like some of the stuff that goes down on BitMEX, but I don't think they're 100% fraudulent, right? I don't think they're 100% fraudulent. I don't think that, I got a video about this. You guys should go watch that video where I talk about how does BitMEX trade against you, right? And I talk about the different types of exchanges out there, whether we're talking about when it comes to Forex, ECNs, which are electronic communications networks that pool liquidity together, and dealing desk operations. And BitMEX is not a dealing desk operation. It's a STP. It's a straight through processor. So they're a peer-to-peer platform. They're just hosting an order book and connecting a willing buyer and a willing seller. I don't think that BitMEX is trading people. Now, does that not mean that they might not have market makers affiliated with BitMEX? No, but that's different. That's different. Market making and trading and taking the opposite side of your trade is a different thing. So I just wanted to make that announcement. If you guys are from Hong Kong, Seychelles, or Bermuda, you're going to have to get a VPN. Okay. Let's go over and talk about Vitalik. Man, look at that acne, dude. This dude is having a rough time of life, dude. Like, just retinol, man. Just something. Like, get some sunlight or push-ups or... Look at this. It looks like he's been pulling out his hair, man. Smart dude. Smart dude. Unicorns. Ponies. All right, so speaking in an interview with a Canadian news outlet, The Star, Ethereum creator Vitalik Buterin discussed the future of the smart contract platform and the hurdles it faces in terms of costs and scalings. In the interview, Buterin describes the Ethereum blockchain as, quote, almost full, and any larger corporate entities looking to utilize the world computer will be faced with increasingly higher costs, as well as competing for transaction space on the network. Now, although positive developments such as scaling to address the issue are going to be in the launch of Ethereum 2.0, including a new consensus model, it's undoubtable that Ethereum is facing serious technical challenges right now. The last time we talked about Ethereum was the fact that they were openly talking about potentially moving data over to the Bitcoin Cash chain. And again, I don't want to be the guy out there that's like, oh, that just goes to show you how far they've fallen, because everybody's already doing that. But it just goes to show you how far they've fallen. Oh, man. All right. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think that these are warning bells for Ethereum? Do you think that Ethereum is going to be able to make it past the hurdle? Do you think we're ever going to see Ethereum 2.0? And we touched about that Ethereum 2.0 release, and it seems like they're trying to present a united front, but then we go over to the Ethereum subreddit and it is just hard forked. Okay, so the most active Ethereum public space has had a split as a number of moderators suddenly announced that they were quitting to form their own subreddit. So with all of this going on, we're even seeing that their most ardent supporters have split off and forked their, what is this? I think it's ETHFinance. Yeah, ETHFinance is the new. So the Ethereum, the R Ethereum has split. You've got RETH and R ETHFinance. So, and there's a lot. It's a big story here about like who said, she said, dude kind of like hit up somebody's girlfriend type thing. I'm just making that up. But I don't think that the story's, I try not to get into the drama llama, but there's a lot going on here. The last thing that I want to touch on, guys, is actually two things I want to touch on. So let's, a little bit of lightheartedness. Let's go back over to the Bitcoin, to the @Bitcoin Twitter handle. And listen, man, whoever has control over this @Bitcoin Twitter handle is freaking amazing, right? That's all I'm going to say. They are so awesome. So first off, they've changed the bio to say Bitcoin is peer-to-peer magic internet. It's, hold on a second. It's magical internet money. Ventriloquism. Bitcoin is peer-to-peer magic internet money crafted by wizards and hodled by dragons. Don't trust, verify, attack our allodial money at your peril. They still have the original Bitcoin white paper instead of the Bitcoin Cash. So remember, just for those of you guys who don't know what I'm talking about, this at Twitter handle, so at Bitcoin, is for the longest time, has always been a Bitcoin.com Twitter handle promoting Bitcoin Cash. And it's changed the banner to some Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Let's see, they just made this post right here. In the Bitcoin community, we love all our hodlers, even the cute little most regulated ones, Mr. Bitcoin 1 and Mr. Bitcoin 2. So just saving them and use some unnecessary speculation, or am I Easter eggs, disinformation Easter eggs everywhere? What or who should be next? Oh! Got rid of the Winklevoss twins. So definitely go over and follow this. I didn't even see that one. I just saw this one, which is this one, a ginormous announcement coming in where they unfollow Justin Sun. Make an announcement, even if there's nothing to announce. So, I don't know, this has become the most hilarious thing. Charlie Lee making a comment about this. He says, I have no proof of this, but I think the owner of @Bitcoin must have had a romantic relationship with Roger Ver and recently broke up with Roger. That's the only thing that can explain why Bitcoin stopped supporting BCH. Oh, man, this is just great stuff, man. This good stuff. If you guys want what I think is like the funniest thing going down right now, you guys got to go over and follow @Bitcoin. I blocked them for the longest time because they were just BCH supporters, but this is just absolutely fantastic, man. Dude, I'm sending you a Hellspawn machine. Heavy metal voice harmonizer. Nice. Let's go to the last thing I want to talk about, which is actually this real quick. We talked about this yesterday. Self-declared Satoshi Nakamoto did unveil his identity. His name is Bilal Khalid. He now goes by the name James Can. And he claims the laptop containing his 980,000 Bitcoin fortune had technical issues. He brought it into a repair shop, and the hard drive containing his Bitcoin trove was replaced and discarded. It's even worse than I thought, right? It was even lamer than I could have anticipated, right? But I talked about this yesterday. As soon as I heard about it, I said it's a fraud. Go check out yesterday's video if you guys want to hear my original thoughts on this. Come on, man. And Charlie Lee coming in with a nice comment again saying, Satoshi Nakamoto brought to the world an open source, decentralized, trustless, censorship-resistant currency based on math and cryptography. If Satoshi wanted to reveal himself, he would sign a message with a Genesis key. Anything short of that is most likely fraudulent. Yes, in a world where every single thing we've seen up so far has been fraudulent, just sign a message, man. Send one sat. That's all you got to do. Okay. The Supreme Court of India hosted a battle today. In the red corner, the challenger, Ashim Sood, Counsel for the Internet and Mobile Association of India. He stands 5 feet 8 inches tall. From New Delhi, India, he argues that cryptocurrency is a nascent industry in need of regulation, not banning, and that Indian investors can make their own decisions. In the blue corner, the champion, the RBI, India's central banking institution. They've controlled the issuance of the Indian rupee for the last 84 years and stand unchallenged as the dominant central monetary authority in the fastest growing subcontinent on the planet. They claim that Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme, a price bubble, and a massive environmental disaster. Who shall win in this epic battle? Well, stay tuned because they're still arguing about it. It's we don't know. Oh man, sorry. So I'm just going to direct you guys. All of these links will be at breakingbitcoin.money after the show. You guys can go do this own research for yourself if you want and tell me what I got right. Tell me what I got wrong. I always appreciate it when you guys kind of double check my work. But just going to be quoting Crypto Canoon, which is a advocacy group over there in India for cryptocurrency. They're pro crypto. So yay, shout out to you guys. And they just were kind of live tweeting basically everything that was going down in the courtroom that day. So as I said, Mr. Sood, who's the counsel for the IAMAI, the Internet and Mobile Association of India, which was kind of launching an attack on the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India. He started off his attack saying that their actions in banning cryptocurrency or banning Bitcoin were based on no studies whatsoever, and then he began comparing their actions to the actions of the United States, Wyoming in particular, a state about whose cryptocurrency laws I actually made a video about a long time ago, and actually I ticked a couple people off in the comment section because I used a little bit of an accent, and they were like, we don't talk like that. I'm gonna kick your ass if you ever come down here. I'm like, all right, sorry, man. Sorry you took it so personally. Moving on. And Wyoming has some of the most progressive stances on cryptocurrency regulation and custodial services. He also pointed out that in addition to a lot of things that he pointed out, very well articulated argument from Mr. Sood, he pointed out that most G20 countries intend to regulate cryptocurrency, not ban it, as opposed to the Reserve Bank of India. And let's see here. He says that they do not reveal any purpose for what they want to do. Various documents of theirs show that no study has been conducted. And even according to their documents, that the effect of the crypto on the economy is negligible. Let's see here. I wanted to find the one area that I thought was interesting. A lot of this is really interesting, but shoot. Trying to find that area where they were talking about how it's an environmental disaster and basically admitting that the reason that they wanted to ban cryptocurrency was because they're like, well, it could have a negative impact on people utilizing our currency. And it's a problem that it can facilitate cross-border payments. Russian subs messing with cables. All right, guys, listen. It's been a fantastic day, man. Refer to the first half of the video if you guys want to see my analysis on Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you just happen to be tuning in, thank you guys so much for showing up for the video. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin Market Update. I've been your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at crackingcryptocurrency.com. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day. Please, please, please trade safely. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, and/or death threats, leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll try to respond to you within the next 48 hours. And if you do so, leave a comment over here on YouTube. You will be entered in to win our random crypto comment giveaway that we do every single day. If you guys are new to trading, or you are an experienced trader looking to sharpen your skills, head on over to premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com to see everything that the premium group can offer for you. And if you guys would like to check out the podcast, head over to breakingbitcoin.money, where you can see all the current show notes and past show notes, links to everything we talked about in the video. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts. We're on a whole bunch of others too. In fact, you can even say, if you have a Google Assistant, you can say, hey, G, let's listen to the latest episode of Breaking Bitcoin, and that will work. Go try it right now. Go try it right now. All right, guys. Let's see here. Yeah, sure. If you want to support the show, make sure to subscribe, follow, share, and engage. Smash the like button on your way out, guys. Highly appreciated. Hopefully you guys trade safely. I've been Justin. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and trade safely.